Hey guys, it's Jane. I'm back after Christmas, which is very exciting, and I'm going to try today to finish up the video that I started before Christmas. Back before Christmas, back a million years ago, before Christmas, I made a video about Ale of the Unseen and the book The Thousand Days. That's the book within the book of Ale of the Unseen. When I set out to make that video, I was planning to talk about 2 books within books, but that video became quite an extended enterprise, and so I decided to split it into 2. So now a number of weeks have passed and I've forgotten almost everything I was going to say, but I said I was going to do it, so I'm going to have a try anyway. So the second book that I want to talk about is The Diamond Age by Neal Stephenson, which is another book that I've reread during December, which has been my rereading month. In The Diamond Age, the book within the book is called The Young Ladies Illustrated Primer. It's basically an automated learning system packaged as a book. Originally, it was designed for one particular girl and one girl only, and the idea was that it was to teach its audience to read and then to subsequently tell its stories. It's like a mashup between an educational interactive video game and a book. So I think you can all agree with me that everybody wants one of these. Everybody wants a copy of an illustrated ladies primer. It's too bad that it's a fictional object. But the question arises, what is the primer for? As I said before, it was originally designed for one particular girl. There is an incredibly wealthy man called Lord Alexander Finkle-McGraw. Lord Finkle-McGraw thinks up the idea for the book for his granddaughter. The reason for this extravagant gift, apart from the fact that he is a doting grandfather, is that he looks at his own children and he is unsatisfied by their character, I suppose, by the way that they've grown up. He hopes by virtue of this gift to correct some of the mistakes that he made with his own children. The man that Lord Finkle-McGraw chooses to design and build the primer for his granddaughter Elizabeth is a man called John Percival Hackworth. He is an engineer, a designer of some talent, who has come up through the ranks of designers in the society that Lord Finkle-McGraw is a leading member of. And he is seeking to further his family's interests in that world. The reason why this is important is because Hackworth has a daughter who is of an age with Lord Finkle-McGraw's granddaughter. And so Hackworth wants a copy of the book too. This should not really be possible because Lord Finkle-McGraw paid to have a bespoke one-off article, and there are safeguards in place to see that only one copy is made of the book. But Hackworth gets a copy illegally made. However, the second copy goes astray because Hackworth is mugged on his way back from the black market producer, and the book ends up in the hands of Neal, who is a poor peasant girl who is living in a violent, unstable family situation, and the primer becomes the making of her. There actually end up multiple copies of the primer. Hackworth does end up getting a copy for his daughter, and the black marketeer producing multiple copies of it for their own interests as well. So by the end of the story, there are many, many thousands of copies of this primer and many, many thousands of young women who have grown up using the primer. The really interesting thing about this object is the hopes and dreams that the givers of the object invest in it. So Lord Finkle-McGraw, in conversation with Hackworth, explains that he is concerned that his children and all of the children who have grown up inside the neo-Victorian world are growing up in such a way that their character does not fit them to bring important qualities of imagination and innovation to bear on that society. Lord Finkle-McGraw takes Hackworth as an example because Hackworth is actually an incomer. He did not grow up in the neo-Victorian world. He has chosen to be a part of it, but because he grew up elsewhere and had different influences, the way he relates to the society is more productive in Lord Finkle-McGraw's estimation. So it's subversion that Lord Finkle-McGraw is seeking for the book to train his granddaughter in. Hackworth, on the other hand, looks at Lord Finkle-McGraw and sees that he has something which Hackworth himself lacks, and certain entrepreneurial spirit. And he is hoping that the book will help Fiona grow in that. While Hackworth is creative, he doesn't have the personal qualities of courage or of being a self-starter or something like this. And he hopes that the book will inculcate these qualities in his daughter. Both Lord Finkle-McGraw and Hackworth have their expectations met to a certain extent by the primer, but it is clear that in fact Nell, the extraordinarily disadvantaged girl who the primer saved at a very young age, is the one who has really become the person that the primer was designed to create. And it's an open question as to what it is that has made the experience of the primer so much more effective for Nell than for the other girls. One possibility is that the book The Diamond Age raises about why the experience was so much more efficacious for Nell than for the others, is that the interactive elements of the stories are acted out for Nell by a single actress whose live performance is integrated into the experience of the book, and that's only for Nell's copy. Elizabeth, Lord Finkle-McGraw's granddaughter, has no one single person who is communicating through the book with her. It's a whole bunch of different people, and the story for Fiona is even more complicated. And for the Mouse Army, the other thousands of girls have an entirely automated system. But for Nell, there is one woman, as it turns out, Miranda, who has essentially dedicated her life, without ever meeting Nell, to being the voice of the book. Miranda is the ghost in the machine. One possibility for the reason why Nell's experience was so much different than the others is because Miranda has basically been her mother, has been loving and caring for her in a sustained way via the medium of the book. As I said right at the beginning, it's now some weeks since I set out to make this video, and a lot of the thoughts are a bit more jumbled now. There are so many interesting questions raised by this about education, about the role of education in society, about what the goal of education is, and what elements are necessary to be brought together to make a successful education system. Lord Finkle-McGraw's dilemma, that a society might succeed to the detriment of its future generations and therefore become an unsustainable culture, is a really interesting question. But I think that's pretty much all I have time for. So I hope you're well, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.